Welcome back, everyone. I am Candace, and I'm here to talk about self-accountability, God, and my post for sure, spirituality, because I post controversial subjects as a social experiment to kind of see how people react to people who don't agree with them, how people are still holding on to triggers and not really taking time to truly heal. So when somebody talk about something and they don't agree with another person, people get heated and they go back and forth and they get really upset. And it's kind of disturbing because you get to really see how mentally uncomfortable people are, how spiritually empty people are, and you get to see who follows who, and why they follow people. You know, you can get a group of people together to dog somebody out before you can get a group of people together to praise good behavior or something positive. And that's definitely dangerous. And that is a trait that is being passed down to children. If you look around now, children have disturbing minds, and we don't even know how to kind of take it. A child doesn't know if they want to be the devil that they watch on that Disney's Little Devil cartoon, or if they want to be an animal, or they don't know which gender that they are, or if they're even human. There are adults who are doing the same thing. So that just shows you how demonic entities are truly intelligent, where they can get people to actually project their agenda onto other people without them even noticing it. And I bring up the Kanye situation because I see how evil people really are when it comes to him. I've seen people who say, "Oh, I love God," and then on another post about Kanye, they say, "F this guy." They wish bad things happened to him simply because he wore a White Lives Matter shirt. We know that white lives have always mattered more than anyone else. But that doesn't mean we can't wear a White Lives Matter shirt or say it. Everybody white isn't evil. And then the people who have been groomed to be a certain way, they're trying to change. Not everyone, but there are some people who are really trying to fix things that their ancestors or family members have infiltrated onto them without them even realizing it. Just like us, everybody black or whatever we're truly called, or Kemet, or whatever the case is. Everything that we do isn't right, especially amongst one another. As a dark-skinned black woman, I've had more colorism inside of my community than I've ever had racism outside. At the end of the day, I'm not going to hate this man for saying something just because I don't agree with it. I don't agree with 100% of what anybody says. I don't care if you're a pastor, a parent, or a teacher, or the government officials. I do not trust every single thing that people say. As no man will know everything. And that is one of God's law. He made it that way. Okay. He doesn't need people to be on the same level as him. So we need to get this ideal out of our mind that the image of God means that we are God. We cannot create the universe. We can simply only make decisions inside of it. But it is very interesting how these subjects get really heated and how evil people really are. And they'll call Kanye disturbing and mentally ill. And some people are happy that his relationship with Kim has been destroyed simply because they're mad because he dated a white woman. And reality is, he's not the only one. There's plenty of artists and athletes who do it all the time, but when Kanye does it, it's just pure evil, and people are truly angry, and they're really applauding this relationship failing or the destruction of it. And it's funny, they're laughing at it. And to me, I can never trust a person who's that evil to where this is like something that they really want to happen. I can't trust that person around me. I don't want this person secretly wanting me to fall down just because they don't like something I say or wear. Kanye isn't a criminal. He's just a person who has his own mind and he speaks freely. What he said about the George Floyd situation, okay, it could have been insensitive, but how many things have people said about him, and all types of things that were very insensitive? If what he said about George Floyd is insensitive, and all he did was simply repeat what somebody else is saying, then rap music is insensitive. Heavy metal music is insensitive. We can't say that because Kanye is saying something that that's the only form of evilness. We're picking and choosing evil, okay? And we're picking and choosing who's good based off who's saying it or doing certain things. That is going to go against you in the long run and spiritually. And it's definitely a reflection of how you really are in the inside. The truth is, people are talking about Kanye hasn't been right since his mom died. I don't know anyone who's been right since their mother or their father died. Any parent that they're close to, anyone that they looked up to as a parent that played a major role in some of the positive things that happened in their lives. I don't know anybody who's right. I also know plenty of men who picked the wrong woman to have kids with, even if they wanted to or not. I know a lot of men who pick women because they look a certain way and it turned out to be a disaster of a human being. I know women who try to get pregnant just to hold on to a guy and it doesn't work out and they're bitter for the rest of their life and teaching their kids how to hate a person simply because the person didn't want them, but they're not teaching their kids about their deception. They're only showing the side of the male and what they're doing. And now they're raising people to be mentally and emotionally distressed because they're lying to their own children just to save face and be the parent who's the most liked. So in reality is, if Kanye is mentally ill, then everyone is mentally ill because his issues isn't no different than anyone else's. He's just famous and he's just willing to talk about something publicly that a lot of people are hiding. So what's very interesting is you're trying to make this guy out to be a criminal. It's just funny to go from seeing a person talk about God to like, oh, I hate this guy because he just said something. He wasn't the one that killed black people in the past or today. He's not the one who killed George Floyd. He just said the dude had fentanyl in his system and whatever he said. At the end of the day, we know that that's true. We've all had a George Floyd and our family members that we don't want around because then we know they're going to steal or do anything. Yes, the man should have been arrested and charged. He shouldn't have been killed in that capacity. But it's a lot of people who are, there are more innocent situations that we should kind of focus more on than that case. I believe that. If you want to take my black card, then take it. But at the end of the day, Breonna Taylor, her situation was way more innocent than that. But because this situation was caught on camera, people blew it up. And we're still trying to make Kanye the person who infiltrated this situation. And he did nothing other than talk about the situation. There's plenty of things that are far worse than what Kanye has ever said and done. We have actual demonic spirits using kids to project homosexuality and transgenderism, whatever it's called, gender dysphoria. You call it gender dysphoria, I call it demonically possessed, okay? Because it's technically a person whose soul doesn't match with their body. You have men and women getting surgery, cutting off their body parts to switch genders. We have the Supreme Court case about people trying to say that men can get pregnant. It's a whole lot of crazy stuff going on right now. And I just can't believe how people actually hate this dude because he said a couple of things or wore a shirt. You got rap music telling our people to actually kill each other, and they're actually listening to it and following through with these words and these rap songs and heavy metal music that's leading mass shooters to destroying the whole world because they're angry with something or someone that someone said. You're all turning into mass shooters and murderers and don't even realize it. Simply because you're so busy blaming other people for your feelings that you're not putting in the effort to correct properly, and you're fake traumatized. Because if you were truly traumatized about what happened with George Floyd, then you would be against music. Music has caused more murder and killing and infiltrated so many people's minds than anything Kanye could have ever said or have done. You have people twerking to music about killing somebody. You have rap artists dying every other week or going to jail for killing someone. You have this heavy metal that's making people demonic and shooting up malls and schools and just killing people because the music and frequencies from these sounds is so evil that these people want to be what's inside of that music. You have Jeffrey Dahmer, who was obsessed with The Exorcist. And we know he had to have been listening to a lot of other chaotic certain things. But we're not going to talk about how that is insensitive, how a transgender gets mad at a man for not wanting to date them because they're transgender. So they insult women who are barren and can't have children and compares themselves to a woman who can't have children. And these women are struggling and losing their marriages or relationships because they can't bear children. That is an extremely insensitive thing to say, but it's okay if they say it. And that just shows you how people are literally picking and choosing evil over good, simply based off who the person is. And so these conversation and posts that I post is definitely a reflection of people emotionally, and it's showing what kind of demonic forces that they're carrying, because who wants something bad to happen to a person who's not a criminal, who's never killed a person? Y'all want him to get sued. Y'all not talking about the BLM founders who stole all y'all money and bought mansions and contribute and invested into these transgender communities in their friends' businesses. We're not going to talk about how insensitive that was to use the death of all these black people from police brutality and historically just being murdered because of racism. We're not going to talk about how insensitive that is. We just care about this White Lives Matter shirt that Kanye wore. But guess what? I think white lives matter. I think all the good white people matter. I think all the good black people matter. And I think all the bad black people and all the bad white people and all the bad Asian and Hispanic people, I don't care too much for the bad people, but I do care for the good people. I think all the good people matter. This is between good versus evil. This is not a racist situation. That is really more of a distraction to keep people from finding out what's really going on behind closed doors, because you're so caught up in this stuff that you're not even paying attention to the enemy and how they're truly infiltrating people's lives and soul. So yes, I definitely feel disturbed by so many people who keep on trying to make Kanye the villain of a situation that he had nothing to do with. And it's so interesting how people are like, well, he shouldn't have never said this. Guess what? It's a lot of people who shouldn't have never said anything, and I'm definitely not okay with transgenders infiltrating these schools and fathering these kids. There's cartoons that is saying and doing worse things than what Kanye is saying. Like I said, the music industry, the heavy metal and the rap music, okay, they're doing more damage than anything Kanye could have ever said or have done. You have porn that's causing more damage than anything Kanye has ever said or done. You have people who are overeating themselves to death, literally, and they're getting upset because they go into a restaurant and they break a chair, and now they're against the restaurant owner for not having a chair that fits particularly their size, instead of just losing weight. They're finding ways to blame people for them being big and saying that they're fat shaming them. And it just carries on all of these communities. All of this started from this LGBTQ community. Now all of these things are being added to the plus at the end of it. And it's just causing humanity to go downhill. But the things that Kanye say is insensitive, right? It's so many destructive and things that are going on right now. And it's just amazing to me how people really hate this guy. They're not even realizing how evil they are inside to actually hate someone to this capacity simply because he said something. They hate this man more than they hate a criminal. I would never want to be around people like that. I can't trust those type of people to be in my life. I don't want those demonic spirits that they're cohabitating with to come onto me at any rate. There's a guy who literally was following me on social media because he can never find me in person. And I ran into him in person before and I didn't even recognize who he was. He had to tell me who he was. I still didn't care. The only reason I was communicating is simply just to keep an eye on him. He's trying to say that Kanye has mental illness. You out here stalking women and making people uncomfortable. And 100 years later, when somebody tell you that's what's happening, you're like, oh, really? What do you think? It's so many people who do disturbing things, but it's so interesting how they actually point out other people's sort of issues. At the end of the day, if you ever try to get closer to God, you're going to be hit with all types of unseen and seen things, supernatural things and physical things. There's going to be spirits that are going to enter people around you, and they're going to try to discourage you or harm you and hurt you during these processes to keep you from fulfilling that purpose. There's demonic forces that's waking you up at 3 o'clock every morning, that's causing you to be choked in your dream, or you see yourself running or something happening. You don't even realize what it is. You just realize the pattern, but you're not even intelligent enough or spiritually learned enough to actually know how to use the spiritual language to fight these demonic spirits off. Look around. They're coming out of the woodwork. While your kid's sleeping and you think they have an imaginary friends, they probably talking to a demonic spirit. Your animals pick up on these things, but it is just so interesting how people really will ignore all of these truly demonic situations and focus on a particular person and calling him crazy and insane when y'all are literally compromised yourself. You're doing more evil than what that man could do. And you definitely not contributing to the Black community as much as he's done and continues to do every day. You can't even compare the amount of good that he's done with the things that he said that you don't agree with. He's done more for people than any of you could ever do or even think about trying to do. You don't really care. Y'all fake traumatized. And that's what I tell people, because if you're genuinely traumatized, then you'll go against this heavy metal and rap music. But you're not. You're picking and choosing who can be considered evil and who's not. You're embracing transgenders who are trying to eradicate women. You're saying there's not enough men out here, but you're watching P-Valley. Like, look at the type of stuff that people are doing and what you're choosing to pick as good or evil. Humanity is dangerous now. You have people who are being infiltrated on a regular basis. They nice woman, and next moment they're thinking about something really evil. You can't even keep kids in the same room with each other anymore. The reality is, people are broken spiritually, and until you understand the spiritual language, until you can activate your angels to protect you from certain things, you're just going to be an easy target for the demonic forces. It's time to deliver yourself from these things. Repent and renounce certain things right before you go to bed. And if you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning or just some odd hour every day, or certain things happen to you, you need to learn that spiritual language so you can fight these things. That's what the Bible is for. Read the book of Proverbs. People are too lazy to truly give God the amount of time and attention that is needed to actually protect yourself. Like I said before, I'm not interested in going to hell. I don't think you all are. But you have to change to not for that to not happen. I have a list of my own things that I need to worry about. I'm definitely not about to pledge allegiance to a community to try to send me to hell with them when I'm trying to pull myself out of that situation. But anyway, this isn't to attack anybody. This is a real situation that people need to take serious. These spirits are really out here, and y'all think just because you can't see them that they're not there. I'm telling you, they're over your head while you're sleeping. That's the thing that's making you greedy and desiring to do things that go against God in your body. Those are the voices that's causing you these headaches, these random headaches, and you can't even understand that there's no medical cure for this. You're just all of a sudden always having a headache and you don't know where it comes from. These aren't physical and mental illness. These are spiritual illnesses. And until you protect yourself, you're going to keep falling short. And this stuff is dangerous. It's going to get worse. And you can call everything a mental illness if you want to. But the only way some of these things are going to go away is if you have Jesus with you. They're not going to go anywhere unless they know you know that spiritual language. Until then, you will be compromised. So watch yourself when you recognize how much you say you hate something, or how angry you are, and how you continue to overeat, or your addiction to porn or sex toys, or your addiction to lying or being angry all the time. Watch out these behaviors and take them seriously and start correcting yourself, because you are signing contracts with demonic forces and you don't even realize it, that you're literally signing a 2-year contract or a lifetime contract like it's a cell phone contract with demonic forces. They won't leave. Some of them will not leave unless Jesus is involved. So anyway, until next time, pray, fast, and stop being so evil.